Today I'm going to show you how to make the continuous star chain garland. I love these continuous chains. They don't require any needle whatsoever, so no ends to weave in. We make this all in one go, starting from the beginning chain and incorporating the appliques, in this case our stars, into the chain as we go, and at the end you've just got two ends to cut. You can tie them off, cut those ends off, and you're ready to hang the garland. These don't take very much yarn, so you can use this as a scrappy project. You can use any size yarn and any size hook, and all you'll need besides your hook and yarn are a pair of scissors. For this project I am just using some Big Twist value yarn. It's a 4-weight medium 100% acrylic yarn and a 5.5mm crochet hook. Now you can use whatever yarn and whatever corresponding hook best fits the size that you want and the yarn that you're using. To start, we're going to start with a slip knot on our hooks, and we're going to start with a chain of 15. This chain of 15 is the loop at the end of the garland. What you want to do is find that first chain, put your hook into that, and just slip stitch, and you've created a loop for one end of your star garland. Now we're going to chain a length of your choice between this loop and where you want your first star applique to be. So I'm going to chain 25. I have my 25 chains done, and just remember how many chains that you decide to do between this loop and your first applique, because you'll need to create that same chain amount at the end after you finish your last star applique before you add on those 15 extra chains for the loop. To work the star applique right into our chain, we're going to chain 3, and we're going to slip stitch back into the 4th chain away from the hook. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that will create our little circle, our little loop here to work a star into. If you find as you're working this applique that it's too tight for you to work all 5 points into that little circle here, you can always chain 4 and slip stitch back into the 5th chain away from your hook to create a little bit larger size center to work into. Once you have your center, that little nub here, we're going to turn it over and work into the back side. So here is how it looks once you have slip stitched. You're just going to flip it over. We're going to chain 1 and work a single crochet into the center of that circle, and that is the first stitch of your applique. Once you have worked that single crochet, you can kind of see a little bit more definitively where that center is. It'll start to open up the more stitches we work into it. Our first point, we're going to work 2 double crochets all into that center ring, and every stitch that we work is going to be worked right into that ring. So we have 2 double crochets. We're going to work a treble, so yarn over twice, put your hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, back through 2, yarn over, back through 2, yarn over, back through 2 to create our treble. Chain 2, we're going to work a picot, chain 2, and you'll see the base of your chain 2, you should have 2 stitches, 2 loops really at the base, and you want to put your hook through those draw up a loop and slip stitch. We're going to work the end of point number 1. We're going to work 2 double crochets, and to finish, a single crochet. And there is point number 1. You're going to work 4 more points, so you want a total of 5 points for your star. So let's do that again. We're going to work 2 double crochets, a treble. You can see how that ring is growing in the center the more stitches we put in. Chain 2 for our picot, slip stitch right into those 2 bars at the base, 2 double crochets, and a single crochet to separate those points. So now we've got 2 star points. You can see it gets a little bit crowded the more points you work. You can kind of scooch your stitches over as best as you can. The last 2 points are the most difficult to work in because there are just a lot of stitches going into that center ring. Another point, so let's work 2 double crochets, a treble, a picot at the top of your treble, two double crochets, and a single. I've got my 3 points now. Now this tail here, you want to make sure that you're keeping it, holding it to this side so you don't bring it on this side. Just always kind of work over it, holding that chain tail against that first star point that you did, and that will keep it out of your way. I have 3 points. We need 2 more points. So I'm going to work 2 double crochets for my next star point, a treble, chain 2 for the picot, and slip stitch into those 2 bars at the base, 2 more double crochets, and a single crochet to finish. Got my 4 star points now. 1 more and you can see there's barely any room in which to work that last point. So you just have to kind of go slow. Some stitches may seem to be getting covered up or too squished, but once you finish this point, they'll kind of figure themselves out. So 1 more star point, I'm going to work 2 double crochets, a treble, and remember, keep that chain off to your left side. Work a picot, so chain 2, slip stitch in those 2 vertical bars, 2 double crochets back in the center ring, and stop. We started with a single crochet, so we don't need to add a single crochet at the end of this round after our last star point. What we're going to do now is find that first single crochet, put our hook into it, find that chain, so turn your applique over a little bit, find the next chain down from your applique, put your hook into that chain, draw up a loop through everything, and that will finish and join your applique back onto that chain. And that is how we attach the star applique onto a continuous chain. So to continue, you chain any number of chains that you want in between your first applique and your next applique. So I usually chain 20 to 30 depending on the size hook I'm using and how close or far apart I want these little stars to be. I'm going to go ahead and chain 20. After you have your chain length that you want in between your star and your next star applique, you can either work back right away into that fourth or fifth chain away from the hook, depending on the hook size and how much space that you really need and find comfortable to create that center circle to work that applique in. I'm going to go ahead and chain 3 just to give myself a little extra space. Work back into the fourth chain away from the hook, slip stitch, and this is where we now need to turn and work into the back side. You can, if you find it helpful, chain 1 right away here before you turn that little center circle that we're going to work into, and then work your single crochet. As long as you're working the stitches after you have flipped that onto its back side, all your stars should face forward once you're done. Now, being that this is a continuous type of a project, sometimes as you're holding it up they may tilt to the side. You can always flatten them out, use spray starch if you feel that they're not hanging exactly the way that you want. But the one thing I do love about these is that the front and the back, it keeps the same shape. So you don't have to worry about any tails or ends on a right or wrong side, and when you hang them up you can tell that they're stars any which way you look at them. So I'm going to work another applique right into that ring. We're going to start with our 2 double crochets, a treble, picot, so chain 2 and slip stitch, 2 more double crochets into that ring, and a single crochet to separate our points. So I'm going to work 4 more points for this applique. I'm going to work a bunch more appliques onto this chain, and then I will show you how to finish up by adding the loop at the end. We'll tie in our tails, no sewing needed, and then we'll have a really cute, simple, fun, easy to make, great for beginner, continuous chain star garland. I am just working my last 2 double crochets on this last star. Find that first single crochet and the next chain from your chain, slip stitch. Once you have worked all of your stars onto your chain, as many as you want, you can make this as big or as small as you want. You're going to remember how many chains you worked in between this joining point after you chained 15 and joined. So from this point, how many chains you worked until you started that first star. For me it was 25. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 25. After you've chained that amount that you need, or that you had in between your first loop and your first star applique, once you've created that on this side, you're going to go ahead and chain an additional 15, and this is where we create that loop. Once you have your additional 15, you can count backwards. You basically just want to slip stitch back into the 15th or 16th chain away from your hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And that can just kind of be a guesstimate. Doesn't have to be perfect. So you just slip stitch into that 15th or 16th-ish chain away from your hook. I like to go ahead and slip stitch into the next chain as well, just for some added stability. And you can go ahead and fasten off. Cut your yarn. And this is the fun part. You're going to take that loop in your tail, and all you really want to do is just tie this end off. And you can tie this off in any way that you feel works best for you. I just kind of tie a knot, pull it tight. You can do that once, twice, however many times you think you need. Cut that end off. Let's find our beginning. So I've got one more here. I'm just gonna go underneath the chain and then gently pull up until I get close to that joining, that beginning of my loop on the end of my chain. Pull it tight, cut that yarn. No Sew Continuous Garland. These I absolutely love, and they look really cute all strung up together. Now I've made mine for the American upcoming 4th of July for a little decor. So I've got blue and red and white, and I'm going to string them up all together. It'll look pretty festive. You can also use variegated yarn. I've got some Americana here, which would also look really fun in this 4th of July sort of theme that I'm going for. However, you can make these in any color. These also are really good for winter decor if you make them in those sorts of colors. They're great for birthday parties, for just a little added decor around your house in whatever theme and colorway that you're going for. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Be sure to give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in my next video. Happy crocheting, everyone. Bye.